Ladies and gentlemen, while I'm waiting for the people to come in, let's be entertained a little bit. Ah, hallelujah. Yes, yes, yes. Ooh. One more time again, we're here today. We're here today. Thank you for being here. Blessed to all. Yes, yes, yes. Blessed to all. Ah. Blessing, blessing, blessing. All right, we're gonna wait for another minute, so we don't want to wait too long, okay? Ah. I have me a sip of water while I'm waiting. Then, okay, if you don't mind. Yes. Mhm. Okay, wonderful people. Thank you for being here again and looking at the topic that why are we losing the battle? Yes, yes, yes. We're losing the battle. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. So, with that in mind, let's get busy. We thank you again and again and again. And sometimes we just say thank you more and more and more. And we bless you right here, right now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's take the music off right quick here. And now we want to talk about losing the battle. We're talking about losing the war. We're talking about why. Then that's the question comes. Why do you think we're losing the war? Because I've talking with people that say, you sure we're losing the war? I don't feel like we're losing the war. But then again, are we in a war? Are we in that place called the battle? Why should we be in a war? We're at peace. This is a big country. We can defend ourselves with anything, anybody. So now, why are we in a battle? Why are we losing the war? Because even say in the spiritual light, uh, most people say that, oh, everything's going good, everything's together, and we have no complaints. Oh, don't have no complaints. But then again, let's go ahead on and talk more about the battle. Let's talk more about the war. Let's talk more about the conditions of war and warfare. That is okay. So we understand that most countries, especially large countries, are either countries with power, and they say that well, we have military forces that can defend our country, that can guard against anybody that come to try to interrupt our way of living, try to invade our territory. So we can fight back, and not only can we fight back, sometimes we see that countries can go into other countries and take over their countries. That's to start the conflict. And so we see that in this journey of life, in this journey, we always often hear about wars and rumors of wars, conflicts. We hear about takeovers. We hear so many different things concerning wars. Then we say there's always some stuff about confusion, dismantling this and dismantling that, and people like to say don't want to learn, don't want to not say learn, that don't want to agree with others, so they invade their territory, invade their country, and then these countries have military forces, military power, and that military power could be in different forms, different formats. Okay, you have like the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guards, and different ones. You know what I mean? So then It's like, okay, we can defend ourselves. And that's a good thing. They can defend themselves against the enemy. But then who are their enemies? Whoever wants to try to invade the territory is an enemy. So we look at these different things like this and the weaponry that they possesses and all of that. And so we come to now to talk about the same type of power, the same type of military uh, action that's going on. But the military action that we just mentioned is one of those physical things, like what's going on now in the world, different little scrimmages here and there, little outbreaks here and there, little takeovers, uh, conflicts here and there. You know what I mean? People are dying, people are hurting, people are really in a bad state. But then there's another battle, there's another war that's almost equal, and we'll say use it as a reference to the physical war. And they call it a spiritual war. A spiritual war is like, well, in the spiritual realm, they call it, okay? Mind, spirit, it included body, mind, body, spirit, but it all depends on the condition of what is going on, is what's happening. So anyway, we look at that spiritual war in a different perspective, but not only a different perspective, but in a different tone as we do with the physical war. Physical war, usually there's some type of guidelines, there's some type of a something signal that, oh, we're going to try to invade you. Then again, sometimes they are sneaky. They can come out and invade, just like with World War II, with Pearl Harbor, how the enemy eased in one Sunday morning and then just start to destroying ships and destroying people's lives and stuff. Then, okay, so now the spiritual war has the same type of conditions of that they can ease in without being undetected. And that way sometimes it's like how the enemy can in real life can go amongst the people and then like spy on them, they call it. You know what I mean? To see what their weaknesses are, see where their ammunition is stored, all of these different things. But the enemy that we're talking about, the spiritual enemy, can come in unannounced, unaware, and slip in on you and then destroy you from the inside by bringing disease and pestilence and different things that they can come about, bacteria, germs, all of these stuff. These are all enemies, but we don't want to look at it as enemy. But now there's another form of enemy because they're using different weapons, different weaponry, just like in the real physical lifestyle, different weaponry. And we look at these weaponries in a different way than we do with the physical lifestyle because we know that it is a destructive manner because the enemy comes only to kill, steal, and destroy. The enemy uses these weaponries to really to destroy you. There's no weaponry that is too small that it won't use to destroy. But in that destructive manner, it might not be so bad, not be so great, yeah, but eventually, if it's not eradicated or defended on in your body and your spirit, it will take over. And that's what the enemy does. He will ease in and take over, or either he can do like the military, real military, to bombard you with the heavy artillery, bombard you with strongness, and then take over, lead you astray, start you with a different mindset, destructive behavior. All these things can come about when the enemy just come in and start to bombing you with different things. And we're going to talk about those things. We'd like to talk to you more about them, but we just want to bring a few of them with you tonight. A few of them. Because we can't really get into all of them in one setting, but then it'd be like overwhelming. We don't want to do, we want you to do that. We want you to remember these things. We want you to take note of these things, and we want you to take action into regarding these things. defense. Listen, most of the time, when we are on the defense side, where the enemy is always coming to to attack. He's on the offensive at all time. He's always wanted to attack you, attack us in that manner of bringing something to us that will destroy us, will take over, put us in entrapment, make slaves out of us, bring us to a place where we are now in prison. Yes. So now, instead of being in prison, we can fight back. But it seems to be like we're not fighting as much as we should, as strong as we should. We're not fighting as we do in other places. We're not fighting for results like we should be. So it's like now a nation thing, a wide variety of things, because the enemy is using so many different weapons, so many, just like in the real physical army, physical being, they will use weaponry that sometimes you thought you never heard of. Just like with the pandemic. Never heard of it before. Here comes this a weapon. It was a weaponry. Some people, oh, it was too. No, it was a weapon of mass destruction. And it did. 1 million people died. Millions. I don't know exactly how many, but then it affected economy. People on a shutdown, people on a lockdown, people that pay distances and all this stuff. You can't get together like used to. And then some did it anyway, and guess what? They caught the virus. They caught it, and then some of them caught it. Most of them caught it. Then a lot of people that passed away. Passed away. Where's so and so? Oh well, they had COVID, and then it got so whereas in the second year, like you look for people. Oh well, they had COVID. They died. Like that is also a weapon of mass destruction attitude. But we're gonna get into that really hard in upcoming episodes, right? But right now, let's talk a little bit more about some of the things that can happen, some of the things that go down, some of the things that the enemy is using in this war, this warfare, spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is just as bad in the sense of being as physical warfare. It'll kill you. It will destroy you. It can lead you astray. It can imprison you and leave you defenseless, keeping you weak, and then you cannot be productive. You're walking death. You walk in a place of physical incapacitation. So now let's do something about this. So anyway, now as we go to the place whereas they say that okay, well, how are we going to guard against this thing? So this is another power. This is a superpower that is very much in action and is a constant in action. And to do a little background on the spiritual warfare, because so many people said, "Oh, there is no spiritual warfare. What is talking about spiritual warfare? Why are you saying something about spiritual warfare?" Well, most people believe in that that's good and evil. Well, it's all over this and that other. They come making some talk about it. Okay, good and evil. Well, evil came to earth because of a person called Satan. Person called Satan, an anointed cherub that tried to influence itself in heaven. But it has a war. There was a war in heaven. And the war was that he couldn't exert himself strong over the throne of God, not even think about it. He thought about it. And as he was thinking about it, God already knows everything. And then the archangel Michael and all his angels fought against them. But then this spiritual warfare, the cherub, convinced a third of the regular angels to follow him, to follow him. Now that is powerful in all in itself. A third of the angels, say for instance, you got maybe 300 angels, and 100 just follow the devil, all right, and get kicked down, thrown down with him, and then they put it locked away. Okay, now what happened is that now after coming to fall into earth or been kicked to earth or thrown to earth, however the spiritual one to put it, he started making war against the people of God, making war. He didn't come around patting nobody on the head. He didn't come down to do things, to be friends with anybody. If he did anything that was in a nice, a friendly manner, it was to get you entrapped into his devices, into his way against God. But now we're not here to preach today, but we're here just to bring this to you so there can be an understanding so that when you see about evil, when you see a lot of different things that's happening, you know that it was the cause of spiritual war. It is the cause of the spiritual war, spiritual uprising in this land, in this area. So now we want to let you know that this is real, this is life, this is dangerous, dangerous, very dangerous. So now, so we say that, okay, so what about the tactics of the enemy? What about the tactics of it? Just like in the military, you use a different tactics, different strategies, different approaches, different approaches. For instance, disguising itself. Just like I said, where people can, foreign countries, a foreign enemy, a different enemy can come into your neighborhood, come into your spirit, your way, be a friend, ease up with you, eat with you, even make love to you, and then spy on you. Go back to command and tell where you are. Spies have been used for a long time, including spies on the good side. Okay? Now, since this enemy can come in, disguise itself, and that's why they said disguise itself as an angel of light, like a priest, bishop, prophet, and come in and it's the spirit of evil. They can make a big, big name, big this, big that, the other, and then they can come in, ease in, and then lead you astray. That is one of the things that he does. And that's why we always say, yes, this is true. This is real, 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 real. So let's take a hold of this, take note of these things. Now, we want to know, well, what some of the weapons that its enemy is using that we are losing the battle for. We're losing the battle. Because one thing we see that in our way of life, in our journey in this life, we see that we can speak on things, ask for things, nothing is happening. We can pray about things, meditate on things, nothing happens, or very little can happen. We can demand things and ask for things, beg for things, very little can happen. We can even try to uh, buy things. Sometimes the material or something that we buy is all shoddy, all messed up, and no use, and not worth the money that we spend on it either. If we got played, jammed up, messed over, and sold inferior products. That's all the enemy does. Nothing is coming out of the situation that is good. And if it does something good, eventually, watch out for the dagger in the back. Watch out for the consequences that's the trapments that is laid for you. He will eventually entrap you into something that now he got you. It's almost like um, getting you to do something that's important, telling you that, oh, well, we're going to do something nice, this, that, another, pat you on the back, stroke your ego, and then wind up doing something corrupted or illegal, and that got you on the blackmail list. Blackmail. Now you have to do it unless you're going to be exposed. But anyway, we're going to get back into some of the weaponry now. And we just want to bring up a few, excuse me, a few weapons that the enemy is using today more and more than ever. Because these are weapons that he has not stopped using from day one. And the main weapon, I would say the main weapon, well, next to the main weapon, next to the top weapon, is called doubt. Doubt. And that doubt is called a lack of faith, or either no faith, or either questionable faith. And that's what doubt is all about. A doubt is when you don't really truly believe, and you're just standing on the fact that maybe a maybe thing situation, either you hope that this is going to happen, but then you lose hope because something else is over there distracting you, and you can't stay focused on what you asked for, or what you're supposed to do, or what you're looking for, or what the intention were, or the purpose of your faith. All right. So now we do things. We're in a job. We're in a situation. We're in a family. We're in a relationship, and then the doubt come in. Why is my husband or wife staying out late? Am I losing my trust for them? Is somebody trying to mess over them, or talk to them, or say something to them? Are they taking the money out of the account and using it for unnecessary things, or using it for personal items that's not necessary? Why so much money is leaving out of the account? All these things come about called doubt. And the doubt is like losing trust. So this is another thing too about what the enemy can do. He can take one of these things, a situation, these weapons, and combine it with other weapons, having a double effect on you. Yes, a double effect. You can put one weapon's bad by itself, but then you can do two weapons, or either a small weapon and a big weapon. All these things can combine just like in a real physical warfare. You have the army on the battlefield trying to, do some bombing and trapping others. Then you have the Air Force coming over doing a drop bombing and scraping and then finding where the convoy is and finding where the enemy is, and then shooting at them and letting you know where you aim your artillery. All these things can come about, and this is what we do. This is what it does, trying to find you and to destroy you, because they come, like we say, only to kill, steal, and destroy. So this is why faith is way up there near the first part of the largest section of the enemies, just like we have in all these different armies, the 101st, the 42nd, the 80th, 40, or however, division, the Marine 25 Brigade, all this stuff. You know what I mean? So, and they battle. They are strong battles. And that's what the enemy does. Faith is a strong battle. It's a strong weapon. Because without faith, it is impossible to please the Creator. But when you don't have the faith, then, like you said before, prayers don't get answered. Things are left in a turmoil. There's healing. You expect for things to go about, things to be happening. When you don't have the faith to believe, things can come up and side swipe you, broad swipe you, uh, delay you, entrap you, all these things because you don't really believe. And then you say, I do believe, but then it's a big old question mark that's involved in it. And that's the doubt. You were told certain things, told a message, and then you question that message. You question things too hard, too fast, too many times. And that's the doubt that happens when you question a situation. That's doubt. That's doubt. When you like even in business, okay, sometimes you see that somebody say something in business, okay, or even in a spiritual aspect. Well, doubt will tell you that, well, I don't really think that this is real or whatever. But if you have never tried it before, if you never experienced it before, then you don't really believe that this is going to work. But now, had you have done these things, experienced some of these things, and somebody say something, you said, well, wait a minute, wait a minute now. I've been down this road before and things didn't work. So what do you suggest? Well, let's try it anyway. Now you're beginning to agree, not to say you have the faith to really believe because you don't know, they don't really know. It's something that you're working together with. But straight out the gate, and they say something, you said, nah, I don't know, I don't believe it. You know what I mean? Well, we have to check that. Let's go quick, let's go research it then. And then build up their faith. It's not the fact that okay, faith is so critical that it's not a cut and dry thing, but it'll work with you or work against you if it's not worked right. Okay, so that's why faith is up there and at the top of the destructive manner. Is why we lose the battle. Why we lose the battle because see, with faith, you're supposed to say like, we're told in a spiritual manner, right? That well, we can see things in our mind before we even think about it, before the beginning to start. Visualize it, say it, and then speak on it. When you speak on it with repetition, we speak on it with something in your heart, deep down in your heart, then it manifests most of the time. If it doesn't, then it's not the will of the Creator. And you leave it like that. You know, oh well, nah. See, God said He was gonna do this. He said, "Whatsoever I ask for in prayer, it'll be done." But they don't see nothing happen. Well, you doubted from Jump Street. You did not believe they were gonna happen. But maybe a year later, I still believe that this is gonna happen. I still believe that everything's gonna be all right because it could come in a different way, in a different manner, in a different manner. Because we don't think that we keep thinking more or less that faith is one of those things that can happen boom, 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 right here, right now. But we keep forgetting about there was a time when a man named Daniel was praying and he wanted something to happen. I mean, it was really necessary that it would happen. 21 days later, the angel came to him and said, hey, okay, we got you now, right? But Daniel said, well, I prayed and nothing happened. Well, the angel said, we was caught up in a battle for 21 days. See, we don't know what happened or where we don't get the answer to what we asked for right away. But God knows and let him handle the situation. So it manifested and it was just like what Daniel wanted. Okay, and that's what happened. So sometimes we expect the thing, bam, 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 not all the time. But eventually something happened. That's why we build up on our faith, increase and strengthen the faith. And that's what faith is all about to be strengthened and built up on. And then another weapon that the enemy used that is really high up in the category of strength and weaponry, just like you said with the faith, it was like with the army, all these different armies and that can be used to invade and used to defend everything. Now we have another weaponry. It's called deceit. And deceit is like lying. Lying. Lying can be like, whoa, what is this? Can't believe the truth. We don't see the truth. And then we believe in the lie because, see, like we're talking about with the faith thing, how people can come in, tell you different things, influence you in different ways, whereas you can say, like, okay, then you can even ask the question, is that for real? Okay, so you doubt it, but you checking on it. You're not really for sure. So now, do you really believe? If you say, I don't really believe, I will go research it and check on it. Then you research and check it, then that's cool. That's good. That's what you're supposed to do. Study, learn, research. But if you don't do anything but just say that, oh well, so and so said that this can't happen or this not going to happen, and then, well, you know how it is. Why bother? Why bother? You say, and this is what happens so many times in our life. We believe the lie before we believe the truth because we don't even check to find out, for one, that it is a lie. We don't believe that, number two, that what is this about? The purpose of it. Why why someone is lying to us? Why the lie? To keep us from finding out the truth, to keep us from going in to doing a mighty work or doing a mighty thing for the advancement, the growth, the productivity, inspiration. All these things could come about, but we sit back and procrastinate and then stay in our place and then something over, oh, I thought about that. I thought about that. And wow, somebody just took over my imagination, took over my platform. Somebody just stole my invention. No, somebody didn't steal nothing. Because that same thing could be given to 1,000 people. The same thing could be in the atmosphere. One person grabbed it, 99 didn't think about it, 100 didn't even look at it. But then two or three people thought about it and well, let's work on it. Let's do something about it. But they procrastinated. They stepped back and didn't do anything. But that one person moved on it and bam, experienced it. Experienced it. And this is why we take that lie, believe in that lie, especially in our spiritual aspect of living the journey, we start to believe in a lie more than we do believe the truth. But then you say, well, if you have the truth and the truth should set you free, of course, it's supposed to set you free. Free from what? If the truth going to set you free, then why are you still in that fix? Why are you still in that prison? Why are you still in a place of regret? Why are you still in bondage? Why are you still in a place of distraction? If you're free, then you should be free. You should have joy. You should have peace and kindness and all that good stuff in your life. Being out there doing something that's important. But you're talking about freedom, but you're not experiencing freedom. That means that you don't have the truth. And you'll be still holding on to the lie. And if you're holding on to the lie, then the lie would eventually consume you just like with having no faith will eventually consume you, and then you will be totally, completely destroyed. Completely destroyed. And then the next one that we have, the weapon that they use, the enemy uses, spiritual warfare that is, will use is uh, disobedience. Disobedience, not following instruction. And we see that so much in life. Instruction goes up, well, you're supposed to stop at a red light. Oh, I can make it. You run through the red light. But sometimes that red light may catch you and there's an accident occur. Well, I didn't see it. You lied. So see how they can happen? How some of these things can get together and come upon you. So these how weapons can be used against you in that way. Whereas, if you do it the right way, then it's going to be all right. Sometimes, okay, if you experience something in the past and there's an instruction that says, okay, like uh, in a company, you have a handbook, you have guidelines and all this stuff. When you follow these guidelines and the handbooks and stuff, and you do it the right way, then accidents don't occur as much as they usually do when you just being nonchalant, when you're being careless so many times, doing things like, well, it's gonna be all right. I can make it this way. Shortcuts is another thing. And that's still the same as being disobedient. Shortcuts that you don't really know that's working. Sometimes we can use shortcuts, but when we into a spiritual aspect of things, especially if you're in the real spiritual aspect of things about the gospel and that kind of stuff, about serving in the gospel manner, then you don't do what you're told to do. You don't do it how you're told to do it. You don't do it the way you're told to do it. It is disobedient. It doesn't matter. I was talking to a Christian just recently about that, right? And they say, well, what about disobedience? Well, what do you mean? What do you think that disobedience means? Well, I don't know, this, that, and the other, this, that. Well, I said, what about it is written? What is written, the instruction that is there, the guidelines that are set put for you that you have failed to do or failed to obey or failed to follow. I remember when I was in the service, we had a lot of explosives. All right, this during the time with atomic energy and having all kind of missiles and uh, silos and oh me, you see rockets like wow, like two or three sections of rockets on different trailer trucks, and they had to put them in the silos and put them together and stuff. Well, me being in supply, we had to order some of these things, these chemicals, order some of these explosives and things. And even though we didn't touch them, touch a lot of them, some things we did. You know what I mean? And so I had some highly explosive stuff to come in one time, and the guy that was with me had to deliver it to the section, right? He was just like nonchalantly picking up this stuff. It was on a straw, right? And like nothing to it. Dude, you crazy? That stuff can blow up a half a block. And you just like don't care. See, you got to be conscious of different things. And that's why being adamant about following instruction and then see if those instructions will come to pass, see if it will come to work, see if how it's going to work for you and in you to become growth, not only growth, but beneficial. How it's going to help you to be a good service, how it's going to be productive for the long run. And this is why we must, by all means, look at the instruction and obey the instruction, follow the instruction, because this is how sometimes it come about. Whereas someone could tell you something, and it's like, okay, it might not be totally completely true, and that's another thing too with doubt and lies. We have taken a situation of truth, twist it around, camouflage it, and then put it into a situation whereas now is it the truth? And then you don't know, you'll say, so what's going on? So therefore, we'll sabotage the truth, put it into an issue where it's no longer feasible, compromise it to a certain place where it's no one is going to believe it anyway now because you changed it over, messed it over, and then by the time it got to the person that it's supposed to be, it sounds funky. And it could be the truth, but you done played over it, messed over it, and changed it around so much that now it's not believable. So this is another thing too, where we have to go on our own. And that's another reason why we say that we are losing the battle. But when we all get together, even individually, be for real within ourselves, because it's all about in the heart. It's all about in the mind. Because the enemy, when we talk about the physical enemy to come in to destroy or invade your territory, so does this spiritual enemy come in to invade and to destroy your mindset, your mind. There's a battle for your mind. So once we start to listening to the garbage, believing the garbage, obeying the garbage, then our behavior starts changing, attitude is changing, disposition changes, and then sickness and illnesses and a lot of things come into our bodies and destroys us from the inside because we didn't have the faith to believe to defend ourselves or either to use the proper tools that we have to guard against the invasion. And this is why sometimes when we're supposed to be on the watch out, the lookout, and then stay focused on the enemy at a distance, if it's possible. All right. So that's why we want to bring it to you this night, do this the first episode, because there's many other weapons that we want to talk about, many more. So let's the next episode because we don't want to bring too much to you. When you listen to this replay, then you see, oh wow, I didn't know that faith, having a belief system was that strong. Because we often hear about how faith can move a mountain. That mountain is that situation. The mountain is that illnesses. The mountain is the problem. The mountain is those things that that's been holding us down, forcing us into captivity, just like finances and all this stuff. Because if you really believe that there can be a hope, there is finances for you. If you believe these things and speak on these things, then most of the time, an idea, a strategy will come to play in your mind, or either someone will come up to you. Wow, and this will blow your mind. I'm telling you, 'cause I've been there, done that. That things can happen so miraculous, that is, okay, that would bring you to a place like, wow, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Awesome. So these are some of the things you have to be pay attention to, because if you didn't have the faith, you'd be sitting there in that same place, being a prisoner, being stagnant, being non-productive, and then being destroyed. Because that's what it is. Eventually destroyed. And because it can be destroyed, you can be destroyed, there's a penalty of illnesses, and then death can bring about the place to keep you up out of there, even suicide, because you didn't have hope. Because hope comes from having the faith to believe that you can make it. When you don't have that hope, everything's gonna fall apart. You said nobody, 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 nobody. But then I am. I will. I must. I can. I got the power. Then that give you the hope. That will give you the light. That will give you the faith to believe that it's going to be all right eventually. Hold on till your change come. With that in mind, wonderful people, I thank you. Oh wow, look here. I thought I thought I saw you. I thought that was you. For I was so big. Guess what? I'm on YouTube, and right now I'm getting ready to close down YouTube. Wow. And then okay. YouTube is closed, and